If there's anything that I know about Americans is that we are super determined to be entertained.
Globally.
Yes.
We are super determined to be entertained.
Do whatever it takes to seek out that dopamine.
This is a podcast. We're
I
supposed
do
to
think
argue.
it's interesting. I do think it's
You're wrong.
interesting.
It's like being the sample lady at Walmart.
Yeah.
It just has the samples and like a microwave next to it.
As if we as a society didn't need another reason to have basically no attention span, right? I mean, it's like,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
terrible. It's ridiculous.
I hate everyone.
I hate everyone.
You say that almost
Everyone's
every
horrible.
podcast. You say that. I hate everyone.
I don't know how to do
Aaron's
that,
like,
but
psh.
to do it on a phone?
Aaron's like, Psh,
It's pretty
that's
easy.
It's pretty whatever.
Oh no, I'm serious.
Right.
That's not technically difficult. Like it's a lot of dedication and discipline.
Stupid.
And
Stupid.
and practice. But he's not doing anything special technologically.
If this is by satellite, right?
Correct.
What happens when the satellites pass below the flat Earth? How does everyone still get? How do they still get?
The
served?
other
That's
one
a fair
comes
question.
by. The
That's a
other
fair
one comes
question.
by.
If they go
Right.
around the bottom of the flat Earth, what happens?
All right, so today we're talking about something that is like goes against my very nature and grain of like video production and like putting work and working way too hard for visuals. Something that goes against the grain is super frustrating, but is also very exciting. It's a lot of fun, and that is short form video and vertical video, right? And like it started kind of with TikTok. I mean, you could argue it started with a bunch of different things, but it really started with TikTok and then Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. And now almost every platform either has implemented or is implementing some form of short form video.
As if we as a society didn't need another reason to have basically no attention span, right? I mean, it's like
Right.
It's
Yeah.
terrible.
And what's crazy is that like it's not just so you can post. I think the longest video I've ever posted on Instagram Reels was like 7.5 minutes, right? And that's ungodly long.
Oh yeah.
It actually did really well, surprisingly, but I think it was because the individual who's on it is mildly famous. But what's interesting is they don't just push, like your maximum is like 90 seconds is what they say. There's a way around it, but your maximum is around 90 seconds. But they will push 4 to 6 second videos, and that's wild to me. That puts me back to like the Vine days, right?
Yeah, I was about to say
Oh,
that.
yeah.
The
well,
app that came out
depends on
before
the
its
platform.
time.
Like YouTube Shorts, though, for example, is not pushing 3-second videos. They're pushing more 30-second.
Yeah. And that's interesting. YouTube is like a whole different beast though. Like and so each platform seems to be pushing like different aspects, right? I think Instagram is the one doing 3 to 6 seconds, right? And then you have Facebook, which is like a totally different animal. I don't know if when you're managing like a campaign and you're posting between the platforms, like you're posting on all the platforms, it's really interesting to watch the things that grow or succeed more or less on the different platforms. Like I've found that we have more success with like longer form stuff on Facebook than we do on Instagram. And then YouTube, like it's almost like the longer the better. Like 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds. It's like if it's it seems to be better for that audience.
Well, and it makes sense, right? Because if you consider the audiences on each of those platforms, right?
Mhm.
You think about how Facebook skews older, right? And so older millennials, Gen Xers, and baby boomers, right? Instagram skews towards Gen Xers and below, right? Although there are baby boomers on there, but not very many, right?
Yeah.
And then, you think about YouTube, how many people go to YouTube for explanatory content, right? Like learning something, right? And so
That's true.
you're not going to learn much in 4 or 5 seconds. You're going to see something funny, right?
Yeah.
Or like entertaining for that little dopamine hit.
Yeah.
That
the
brief
smallest-
dopamine hit, and then move on, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like dopamine is a pretty short-term chemical. So they've maximized that by constantly giving you something new, and it's like
You're
they've
essentially watching ads, if you think about it, because most of these platforms are used to promote some other thing. So like with the guy who I think you're talking about, who's mildly famous, uses it to promote his music, right?
No, this is a different guy.
Oh, okay.
He was he's a missionary to England, and he basically he's telling a story, and like
Christopher Columbus. No.
It's a really captivating story. Is that?
Yeah, it's a really captivating story, and like it just and he has a pretty large following, just because that's what he has to have to like keep going back.
Yeah.
And so he it's basically him telling the story, and like it got a lot of engagement, more engagement than our small stuff, and did really well in from that sense. It didn't have as many views because I think to get a view you have to go from beginning to end. So it didn't have as many views, but the amount of engagement was like through the roof. Like the ratio.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? With the length, not everybody's going to stick it out, but the ones who do find it valuable.
The question is what platform makes sense for your business?
Yeah, and that's a great question. That's a great question.
Which one should you focus on?
Yeah, I think it depends on I think it depends on your demographic. That's probably the first and most and biggest consideration, because you may not get sales on a certain platform, but it may be the most beneficial toward a certain goal. Like we have one client where their goal is not to sell anything, but their goal is to recruit people. And so like all of our efforts on Instagram are to gather people and pique people's interest who are interested in like machinery and industrial and operating industrial machinery.
Considering, a job in the trades, right?
Exactly.
Make the job look attractive.
Yeah. And so that's essentially what we're doing. We're making ASMR videos with machines, and those are a bit longer, and then we're also making, trending audio stuff. So it's just like fun and gets in front of you. But then like we try to keep the account always pointing back to like, this is what we're here for, like if you can pin reels and you can pin videos to the top of both of your reel feed and also your post feed. When you do that, it's basically, if they click on your feed, the first video, if they go chronologically, they just click the first video, and they're going to see like your most important statement.
So you're keeping the main thing, right? Which I think is important because it can get lost in just kind of like fun, video content, but are you really accomplishing what the objective is? Right?
Yeah. And there are people who are much better at reels and strategy than me, but we've found like an enormous amount of success, and I think Nick D was on the podcast before, and he said it's the last like short form reels, or not reels specifically, but short form vertical video is the last place of like true organic growth.
That's the key, right? When you have so much short form video constantly being pumped in front of people, right? It leaves more opportunity for people to get reach, right? You think about how like in the old days, right, of just everything's in the feed, what happens? Well, every 3 videos there's an ad, right? And so there's just less opportunity for stuff to get attention. But when you think about people just flipping through 10-second videos or 5-second videos, there's just so much more.
For us promoting this podcast, I've been pushing shorts more because those get more views faster and actually get people to subscribe. And because most people aren't going to watch a 50-minute podcast with 4 dudes who they don't know talking about short form video or the gaming industry or whatever. But if we can pull out great segments from that podcast in short, 15, 20 second, 30 second, even 60 second, depending on the stuff, it's a great way to grow, like you said, organically, especially on YouTube. Because
it's like being the sample lady at Walmart.
Yeah.
It just has the samples and like a microwave next to it.
You already have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, which most people don't, especially if you're trying to start out now. Like if you wanted to do a podcast today, I think you almost have to do a video podcast. Like to do a podcast that's just going to live on Apple, iTunes, and then also on Spotify with no video, your organic growth is going to be extremely hard with that organically wise, unless you have some promo from some. But again, that's not
if
really
nothing but for the vertical content,
right?
Possibilities.
Unless you already have some platform or someone that's already well up, like Joe Rogan, put you on blast in a positive way. Then there's that aspect. But if you're just a small time business owner real estate agent starting a podcast and you do iTunes and Spotify and no video, you're going to have a tough time breaking through.
Yeah.
You could be consistent for 2 years, I think, but again, you're not going to stand out. You're not going to really get the audience the way people consume that information nowadays. So I think you almost have to be on YouTube and these other platforms to promote the short bits of content to get people excited.
Yeah, I think a lot of social media marketing is like finding out where the fish are and throwing the net there,
And
right?
Oh yeah, I think you're right by saying the place you always have to start is your target audience. And does my target audience exist on this platform? And if they do, are they actively using it? And if they are, then what can I put in front of them that will engage with them, right? Or will trigger something in them to engage with you as a brand.
I will say there have been some podcast shorts. I've seen some from other podcasters. I'm just like, why are you podcasting? You look like sound like you have no brain cells. Like, or I get some of Barstool Sports' podcasts that they have. I'm like, why is this even a show or a thing? It's just but some are great.
I mean, yeah,
it's like they're just
keep in
pushing
mind,
out a
though,
bunch.
You don't follow sports to the same degree as some people. Who
Barstool
listen
has
to
podcasts that have nothing to do with sports.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Like
fair point.
a ton of them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Call Me Daddy, their biggest podcast, didn't have anything to do to talk about sports. It was a sex talk show with two women, and it made millions of dollars for them. So nothing to do with football games.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like,
and
listen,
that was their biggest podcast.
There's probably some niche sports content there that wouldn't be interesting to you. That's
I think that when you have a lot of money like that, and you have a big financial base, there's more incentive to just throw things at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And the podcast I'm referencing, where it looks like these people have no brain cells, have nothing to do with sports, or it's just they have a podcast, they're talking about a subject, and they throw some cool music from like Inception or whatever, and it's like, you know, they're spitting out advice, and really it's just terrible advice or incorrect
regurgitated advice.
Yeah, it's just. But getting back to the platforms, talking about TikTok, because I understand
that's an interesting one.
Well, the thing is, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on TikTok, which again, you can grow successfully using that platform. But what happens, and if it happens, and I think there's a likelihood it would happen because there's bipartisan agreement, which like never happens, of TikTok being banned, because that bill has been introduced and is going to be voted on here soon.
There's two bills. There's one to ban it for all government devices.
That's already been done in most states.
Makes sense. So it's federal and state-wise, which makes absolute sense. And then there's another one to ban it nationwide.
Virginia already did it, by the way.
Interesting. I didn't know
the
that.
governor already did it. So if you work for the Virginia government,
for any government device,
you cannot have TikTok on your government issued device.
Okay, all right.
That being said, this bill is to ban it like for public use.
Yeah.
So like it will come off the App Store.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, yes, it's all because the terms of service, but granted, the terms of service
the
for
absolutely insane permissions.
It's the same though. But here's the thing: it's the same as Facebook. It's the same as Instagram. It's the same.
It's just not U.S. data.
Exactly. There's
Chinese
that.
Data.
But also the fact that TikTok has blown up and it's not a U.S. based company. It's like a threat to Silicon Valley. So I also think there is some push from.
I think there's some crony capitalism at play where the other
absolutely.
Digital, yeah.
Like if the fact that this conversation is even on the table, and Google probably wants them gone, and Facebook, because at the end of the day it is competition. It is taking advertising dollars away from them. It makes sense why they
would pay for lobbying. Yeah, and really that's where you can really succeed because of like short form video right now, because you have TikTok in competition with Facebook and Instagram and YouTube also in the mix, right? And they're all competing, like, and the business model for almost all social media is your attention. Like, your attention is the product, right? And so
and keeping you on the platform for as long as possible.
Right. So they are incentivizing your ability to post and reach organically. Like right now on Facebook, if you're not paying, you're really not doing anything. You're not really getting anywhere with like normal ads.
Yep.
Right.
And the same thing would be true on Instagram unless you have like a really strong hashtag strategy. Like you're probably not reaching anybody organically unless you are creating video reel content, right?
Yeah.
Which you're right. It's
or
like
paying.
Or paying or boosting, right? Absolutely. But this is like the cheat code to still get that organic growth because it's the new shiny object. It's like years ago when Facebook was trying to promote Facebook Live, right? And
Yeah.
Facebook Live was the ticket to get in front of people because everybody,
Now
would be
it's not.
notified.
Yeah,
right?
Now
Short-
it's not.
Yeah.
Short form video is the battleground right now
Yep.
for people's attention. And
Yep.
so right now is like the best time to be putting as much as you can out there. Because eventually, let's say TikTok gets removed from the equation, right? I can almost guarantee that what's going to happen is your organic growth is going to crawl to a halt
Yep.
unless you start putting
So
money.
with that being said,
Yep.
then there's TikTok, the aspect of being banned. You shouldn't focus on just one platform because that short form content you can post on YouTube,
Mhm.
you can post on Instagram. Granted, when you download a short from TikTok, it puts the watermark on it. Like if you scroll through Instagram and
Mhm.
YouTube, you see the TikTok
TikTok,
watermark.
yeah.
Because the person
I
most
wonder
likely,
if that affects it in the algorithm.
I would say
I
so.
think it does.
It's always great though that it's like something comes out on TikTok and then it migrates to IG Reels in like a week, and then a week after that it migrates to Facebook, right? And it's just
where
like
you
that
can see the
process
like
goes.
overlay, like the like overlays from
Yeah.
TikTok, hovering over Facebook, hovering over YouTube. Like which
Which button do
Where
I
to
press?
start? You know what's really funny is when you see someone's battery indicator on the video.
well, because what they're doing is they're screen recording. They're not actually.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know how to actually physically get the link, and there are ways to do it and download it
Yeah.
directly versus I'll just screen record it, and that's why you see that.
Yeah, you have to do some cell phone calisthenics to get some videos downloaded, but you can do it.
So, with that being back to the TikTok, you should be on every platform because then when TikTok, and I say when, I could be wrong.
Assuming your demographic is on there.
you need to be on these other. I would assume people who are on TikTok also have YouTube downloaded, also have Instagram. They may not use it as much, but when they're going to be forced to switch,
Mhm. That's interesting.
what
yeah.
platform are going to go to? It's going to be one of the big three, right? It's not Snapchat. It's not really that short form. That's more a text-based, I would say, like texting. Unless
Mhm.
now Twitter coming to the mix wants to introduce video because Twitter, by the way, bought Vine a long time ago.
Yeah, no, that's
Um,
interesting.
And Elon has talked about bringing it back up, and then he even had discussions publicly with Mr. Beast on how to improve video searchability on Twitter, and then you start paying creators. So I can see Twitter coming back into this mix as far as being a powerhouse if it's done right.
That would be interesting. I mean, they would be the most in position to receive a lot of TikTok business, but right now with the way the momentum is, I would say that Instagram is going to pick up the TikTok users.
Yeah, probably.
Because they're already on
Well,
Instagram.
no, I would somewhat disagree. I would say YouTube is going to win that game because you know why? YouTube pays, Instagram does not. YouTube also just instituted as far as earning money on YouTube Shorts.
Yeah,
the
but
same way. Granted, it's not as attractive, but Instagram doesn't do that.
the largest the largest amount of users well, no, I shouldn't say the Instagram and TikTok have the largest amount of female users.
True.
And YouTube is pretty significant.
That is a good point.
less.
I could see the market. I could see the market share that TikTok has being segmented into two main audiences, right? Because you
Mhm.
have the fun, just dopamine hit videos on TikTok, and then you also have tip videos or value-based videos where it's like, hey, did
That
you
would
know
succeed
this?
more on
That would
YouTube.
succeed on YouTube Shorts, but the stuff that's the quick hitting, just fun, whatever content is.
You guys realize
Instagram,
that all the
right?
same content is on TikTok lives on YouTube, except that the YouTube algorithm is totally different from TikTok's.
Right.
So,
No.
the-
Yeah,
the audience, in my opinion, doesn't.
possibly,
change.
possibly, right? But I think people go to
It's the
the
same
different
content.
platforms for different reasons.
It's the
right?
same content though.
But what I'm saying is, like, on Instagram, people are going to Instagram because they're looking for that like quick little fun, interesting, dopamine hit, right?
Yeah, and there's more opportunity for personal vanity on Instagram.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, totally.
And
It's
there's-
interesting.
and there's a lot less on YouTube because there's no pictures on YouTube, and so I think that Instagram will pick up the largest majority of the female users. And I'm
Maybe.
Just,
It's just when it comes down, but at the end of the day, this is video, and of any platform that has one video over is YouTube. And the fact that YouTube is going to be pushing YouTube Shorts even more, especially that the fact that you can earn money on it, the same way as
it'll
long-form
attract
video.
the creators, but will it attract the audience though? That's my question.
Well, how else do you get more famous as a creator? You bring in the audience. That's essentially most people. Like a lot of these, there are Mr. Beast with 100 million subscribers. Is he on TikTok? Yeah, he has a TikTok, but he doesn't focus on that platform whatsoever. If any person you would think to have that type of content to blow up, he doesn't focus heavily. He's all YouTube right now. Or you take any other.
He's got a channel on TikTok.
He does, but
Yeah.
it's not. They
It's
do
a
post
new
stuff.
focus, though. Yeah.
Highly. Yeah. I mean, most of his videos are 4 or 5 parts on TikTok. It's like, oh, watch the video on YouTube. So it's like a different funnel.
Yeah, because again, where does he make his money?
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's if you have the content, and yeah, you can bring in the audience. It's the same thing like with why people are watching streamers on Twitch, and then when the person on Twitch moves to YouTube, they bring their entire like we were talking about gaming last time when Tim the Tatman signed exclusive to YouTube. His entire audience of like 60 to 100,000 people that watch him live at every time move from Twitch to YouTube, just like that.
Yeah, and I think that's going to happen, right? But
So
I think
the creators bring in the audience.
Totally, I get that, right? But to Aaron's point, I think ultimately it really is going to come down to 35 to 45-year-old women, right? That market where they go, and
it's who
Instagram skews towards women, and YouTube skews towards men. So
and it's who they consume, and it's where the creators go. Bring in the audience.
Who knows?
So whoever
Who
wins
knows?
that game.
We're arguing a hypothetical here that may or may not happen. But what I do think
This is a podcast. We're
I
supposed
do
to
think
argue.
it's interesting. I do think it's
You're wrong.
interesting that TikTok, whatever ends up happening with TikTok, there is no doubt that there is a massive incentive and windfall for these other platforms, which really leads me more to a belief that it's a when and not an if that this happens, because you think about how Facebook
Well, it's bipartisan,
think about how
never
Facebook and
happens
Google has been actively asking for regulation from the government purely for self-interest, right?
Oh, yeah,
the
absolutely.
idea that, there's more regulatory environment, which means that we have the infrastructure to prevent any new startups from coming because we have the team of lawyers
they're
that can handle
gatekeeping
this
everything.
regulatory. Yeah, exactly.
And
right?
I hate the idea from a capitalistic standpoint of view. Like I genuinely hate the idea that the best idea here is not winning.
Yeah.
Right. Because
that
TikTok
sucks.
seems to be the thing that's like challenging them, and they're just like, no, let's not beat them at their own game. Let's legislate them out of it.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But it will be interesting to see what happens should that happen.
America.
Well, and what's scary about it is the continued consolidation of companies that already have an insane market cap, right?
Yeah.
They already have insane dominance in this space to the point, it's just, there's nothing even close to it.
So
right?
TikTok should not be your focus as a business person, business owner, entrepreneur, solo.
Depends on your business.
Well, again, it shouldn't be your sole focus. Yeah, it can be your main for now, posting, but you should be posting that same exact content onto these other platforms.
It's a good idea
That's
too.
what I'm saying. It like, just bring in Nick D for an example, because he's big on TikTok. He posts all his stuff on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Granted, he may not have a huge focus and emphasis on it and doesn't get anywhere near amount of views, but if TikTok were to go belly up, he still has a back to go on. So, and his audience will follow from there, the ones that, the diehard fans.
Yeah.
It's just he's still going to continue, and smart.
So how does that work? If tomorrow it's TikTok is no longer available in the app stores, what happens to TikTok on everyone's phones?
Just stops working.
It stops working. Okay.
It'd be
There
no
might
longer
be-
available.
There might be some people who have Android might be able to access it. If like the jailbreak version ones, I'm sure there'll be some ways you can get it.
If it's banned nationwide, nope.
Yeah, if you VPN, you're not gonna have any content from your favorite people anymore. There'll be ways to access it.
Nope.
Not talking about the iPhone. I'm talking about Google.
And why do you say that?
And why do
Kevin?
you say?
What, because of the servers or what?
Well, I mean everything, right? Every internet-based device nationwide goes through several systems. Like, we're not censored, but we are, right? So it's like if it's banned nationwide, and the App Store or Google Play Store gets caught actually providing that app, you can't download the app.
When you say,
But if you already have the fact, but if people
Doesn't matter
overseas,
because it goes off of different. If you have the app on your phone, you're going to have a U.S. based app that was from the App Store, based in the United States. We have a United States phone. Once you try to access servers, it's not going to work even with a VPN.
Okay.
Interesting.
Not gonna work.
but there, like if you had a jailbroken Android device, because there are stores you can get. There aren't attached to the
I
Google
think what
store.
he's saying
Well, all
is
I'm saying-
it
I'm
still
sa-
has to reach out to the
I'm
server.
not saying the people that are going to hack their phones. I'm talking about the 90%.
no one's gonna be able to use it.
99%.
I'm talking about the nerd here.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You
If
can
want,
still
if
get
you
it
want to do
if
it,
you're
yeah,
that,
why?
but your favorite content creators are going to be posting
Yeah,
content
no
anymore.
one, no one in the U.S. is going to be doing it anymore, right? So all of those people are going to flood different platforms, right?
Mm.
So it doesn't make sense. Like I'm gonna crack my phone so I can watch short form videos that don't exist anymore, right? All of that United States data is not going to be housed in the U.S. All the servers for TikTok aren't in the U.S. They're all in China. All the
Didn't know that.
videos you
ByteDance.
upload are in China.
ByteDance is
You know what blows my mind, and this is completely off topic, but our connection to the internet on the other side of the world is wired.
Yes.
You didn't know that?
Aaron, can you pull up a picture of the Atlantic,
The transatlantic.
Yeah. Facebook.
internet cable?
Just
It's
do internet
wild.
cable map.
There's a big one. Facebook and Microsoft.
There's like 40 lines that are buried in the Atlantic Pacific.
There's one that's in Virginia
around the
Beach. So
world.
Facebook and Microsoft paid ungodly amount of money to connect a cable from Virginia Beach to Spain a few years ago.
That one.
It's just wild to me. Like you,
Yep.
and like in my head, I think like, oh, it's all satellite, right?
So
no,
this
it's
cable right here
hard-
is about
hardwire connection.
like this
They're
big.
huge.
But the actual wire, like all the way down where his cursor's at, like it's like that big. That's your internet. But every other layer is to protect it. They've actually had videos where they've had lines destroyed because sharks.
Yeah,
They're just-
what's wild about it
Yeah,
is
that's
it
it.
is
Yep,
it is
there it is.
crossing a part of human exploration that is less explored than space.
I know. Oh,
So
it's
that
just
near
unbelievable.
Earth space, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've done
We're
more
just dropping
explo-
it. We're just
right?
dropping it down
putting,
there.
We're putting it in a place that's pretty
Should we
unexplored.
put cameras on this? Nah, it's fine. We don't need to know about it. We just
like
want to
a
get on
neck-
TikTok.
It's a
Megalodon
very
coming to
redneck.
buy.
It's a very redneck thing to do. Just
It's just mind-boggling to me that we're just like hardwiring into the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And
It seems-
don't forget
it
about
seems impossible.
Starlink.
bring up that CNN article, Aaron. Look at this.
Aaron, don't forget about Starlink.
What I don't
Oh,
know.
that's
So
satellite.
I mean,
What is
well, yeah.
Starlink?
So it's a global internet, right? So Elon Musk's pet project, right? Starlink, or is a sub company of SpaceX, is to have an internet company of a global accessible satellite internet. It is like 8,000 miles closer to the Earth than your traditional internet services because these actually move around the Earth
Mhm.
versus traditional, they stay stagnant. So 90% of you watch like drive by dish, you'll see people's dishes are all pointing south. And there's a reason for that because
Didn't know that. That's cool.
Yep. So everywhere in the north hemisphere, all your satellites, your dishes will point south, right? Because everything is
This is a YouTube short.
geocentric. Everything's geocentric on the equator. All the satellites around the world that are U.S. based, everything on the internet, are in the center of the world. So everything in the southern hemisphere will point north. Everything in the northern hemisphere will point south.
So Starlink is a multitude of satellites that are always moving.
Starlink has submitted with the FCC to put about 30 to 50,000 satellites around the world
This is why
to
Elon.
provide global internet.
Well, so my
and
question
wait,
is,
but real quick,
yeah,
Starlink is a private company. It's a subsidiary of SpaceX,
Correct.
which is eventually going to separate and be its own. And once that goes public, Elon. And by the way, Elon's wealth. That's not SpaceX.
Starlink's losing
Starlink?
money right now.
It is,
Yeah.
but that's not even taken into equation of Elon's net worth at all.
Oh, no.
That's only his public, like Tesla shares and all that stuff.
yeah.
So once that company goes public and the amount of money I'm pretty confident it's going to make, Elon's will say will
they
be
provided
a trillionaire. Don't say the U
internet
word.
services.
Don't say the
to
U word.
that word
Either that
Yeah.
country.
The country
The
that
country,
was in
yes.
conflict
with the other
with the
country.
bigger country
yes.
that's
Because-
associated with the color red.
and the traditional satellite internet is that you had to like actually put it in the ground. You had to like, put it up to an actual outlet. Like you can take this thing anywhere. You just point it.
Well, so
it
here's my
sets up,
question for you,
and good
though.
to go.
If this is by satellite, right?
Correct.
What happens when the satellites pass below the flat Earth? How does everyone still get? How do they
The
still
next-
get
the
service?
other
That's
one
a fair
comes
question.
by. The
That's a
other
fair
one comes
question.
by.
If they go
right?
around the bottom of the flat Earth, what happens?
Fair question. Answer that.
Yeah. No.
We definitely drifted off.
Hey,
from
listen, you
TikTok
can't
here.
prove it's not the case.
Yeah.
The responsibility is on you to prove this
bad. Drink this coffee.
Batshit crazy theory.
We're not going there.
I was criticizing other podcasters for not having brain cells, and now we reverted to the same type of content.
So
God,
okay,
the math
so
on that is insane.
I think what is really interesting is, to your point, right? We've wired the entire Earth, right? Now we're potentially, being able to, from like a satellite perspective,
Well, think
provide
about. So
internet.
we're talking about user base.
Because the gap there, right, is what, like country, agriculture, or like in rural areas. Is that the idea? Or
Yeah. So that was that was his clientele, was countries and like states. I mean, the United States is massive. A lot of people don't realize how massive the United States. It's like, well, why can't you have like I live in BFE.
Yeah.
But I'm only 20 minutes in two directions from fiber internet, but I don't have fiber. I have Starlink.
I've met foreigners
it's insane.
that have thought that they can go to LA and then drive to New York the next day and see everything, and then drive to Florida and go to like a Disney park
5 day
all
drive.
in 3 days. I'm like,
Good luck with that.
that's not possible.
That's a lack of understanding of geography.
luck.
Which, by the way, if we took Americans and we put them in, Africa, right, a complete misunderstanding of geography.
But the thing is, a lot of people don't realize how, like, even if you go to California, everything is so spaced out.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
far.
Well, so I was just talking with one of my buddies about this, and they last summer they went on a rafting trip out in South Dakota, right? And there was this place they stayed because they like camped along the river, right? As they were kind of like going down it, right? They stayed at this couple's like property, right? Who lives there, and it's not even accessible by road, right? So the only way you can access it is by boat, right? Or like plane landing on the river and then delivering things, right?
Wow.
And they get their internet from satellite, right? Because it's not wired, obviously. And even to the point where their postal service, right? Because it's still legally, they're still required to get postal service.
Yep.
So Amazon's worked out with USPS that they'll deliver through USPS all their packages. And it's quite literally a plane boat or a plane that comes in, lands, and then delivers to them and a couple other people up along the river.
There's people that still get mail via mule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my
Yeah.
wife,
Yeah,
when she did her, she was doing some research up in Alaska last year.
Yeah.
And she was saying she was taking a plane from, I think it was Anchorage to somewhere else in Alaska. I don't remember exactly, but it was like the most northern point in the United States you could ever go. It's just a sheet of ice. But she was saying that people would fly from this town to Anchorage to go to Costco once a month and then load it on the plane to get groceries for the whole month. And that was, let's go on a grocery trip. We're going to fly to the grocery store.
Yeah.
It's just, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild how much of the United States is still undeveloped. Like if you've ever, it's just drive through those places, and it's just like, this is all here.
But you know what? Because of satellite, they can still watch short form video on
They can do it. They can do
on
it.
TikTok.
And they weren't expecting that many users to sign up for the FCC. They originally only wanted like 2 million. And then they had the pre-sign-ups to get the dish. They had over 7 million users within 24 hours.
Wow.
And they're like, well, we need to reapply. We need to reapply for this license because it's.
If
we're
there's
over
anything
the
that I
user
know
basis.
about Americans, is that we are super determined to be entertained.
Globally.
Yes.
Global,
We are
global
super
users.
determined to be entertained.
Do whatever it takes to seek out that dopamine.
But foreigners love to seek out the entertainment that we put out. Like, if you think about it,
we put the most money
Well,
into
that's
it.
and that's our only export, really, right? Is media and culture.
when you watch
right?
videos
So-
of like
It's true.
on YouTube, like YouTube's a great like what do you where someone's going around like Ireland or France, what do you think of Americans? And then they literally look like Americans themselves as far as the outfits and their style, other than of course the language they speak. But they walk into, if you were to put side by side, you couldn't tell the difference. But they're highly westernized as far as off the entertainment that they get from us, from style, from the things they buy, maybe some other things that maybe more local, but looks just like America to me, and they're just as overweight. So
Well, to some degree. Okay, I was just in Europe last summer, and the fact is, a majority of Americans probably couldn't use a lot of the toilets in Europe. Right? It was incredibly ridiculous. I mean, how tiny they were.
Don't forget about.
I was even
Don't forget
uncomfortable
about
with how small some of the
Germany. You have
stalls
to
were.
pay to use public
Oh,
toilets,
it's so
right?
ridiculous. It is the most archaic thing that still exists, and the most ridiculous thing, because for countries that lecture us on income inequality, right, that still charge people who are homeless to use a bathroom, right? And I'm talking like €1, right, which is significant. I mean, that's like $1, right? And actually more than that, right, because of the strength of the euro.
Imagine
now,
begging
right?
for $1 so you can go take a crap.
Yeah, that's terrible. That's the worst.
Oh, shoot. I don't know
My
what that has to do
gosh.
with anyone's business.
Yeah.
and
Get
how they-
real desperate for that. All right, so let me ask. According to now, you do a lot on YouTube. What is the best? What content have you seen do the best on YouTube? Shorts.
Oh, shorts.
I mean, as far as YouTube, it's just, like when I was talking about how it's no different from TikTok. It just depends on the category you're in. And the thing is that YouTube is better at categorizing things than any of these other platforms, because that's how that
is
platform
true.
is built.
Search, keyword search. Yeah.
So if you want to search something in a certain, like wanting to watch shorts all on like gaming, you could totally do that. I'm sure you can do that on TikTok, but I think from a categorization standpoint, YouTube is better. Now, I focus more on business type shorts, and that's what I post. And I find that more of the motivational type videos for business tend to perform better, because people are looking for that quick dopamine effect for the motivation. So
Get
they feel
motivated. Get motivated to make those phone calls.
good, right? So we post those on our channel. We have a playlist. It's called just business shorts. It's just more like make you feel good and just to help grow the channel, because there are literally channels that just post regurgitated content from other podcast channels and other videos and TV shows, and they throw the captions on it. You have to have captions when you do short form video. Got to do it if someone's talking, and then they throw some music over it, whether it's some depending on the content that's being played. Sometimes the music, whoever's editing these videos, chooses like the wrong music, or the music's a little too high in volume and you can't understand or hear what the person's saying. So, but it will vary, I think, depending on your segment you're trying to be in. But for us, for our podcast, it's all business and business motivational type stuff.
That is very true, though, that it is so much better at categorizing content based on what you're searching for, right? Because it's got that Google mentality of keywords, right, that you don't really get. I mean, the Instagram and the Facebook algorithm is just feeding you what it thinks you want, right?
Yeah.
But it could
Yeah,
be
I kind
random.
of don't like that. Though.
I'm watching a golf video, right? Most likely, when I go to the next one, it'll probably be a golf video too, but it isn't always, right? It could be a random other thing that I
Yeah,
had
they're
some
trying
kind of
to get
interest in.
you. They're trying to like hit different areas of your brain.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. I feel like YouTube is maybe the best at like the suggestions, right? And that's what. And if you, I was listening to the podcast with where Mr. Beast was talking to Lex Friedman, right? And he was talking about like a lot of like subscribers and likes are pretty much, according to YouTube, is pretty much just vanity numbers. He said the thing that matters is watch time and views.
Yeah, it's
because
view duration.
There are
is-
people. I mean, like a like doesn't necessarily mean much, because I don't like anything on almost any platform, even if it's hilarious or entertaining. I don't sit there and like it. Like what does that do for me?
Yeah, if it's hilarious, I'm just gonna save it and share it with someone
So-
else, right?
The
Yeah.
view duration is what will make or break a video,
Yeah.
both short form and long form. So you want to get that percentage high. So what some people on YouTube have done, and I guess you could do it on TikTok, because I don't know how that feeds into TikTok's algorithm, but they create this short that almost ends up being like a perfect loop in a way. So sometimes you don't even realize you're starting to rewatch the clip, because when you're watching the clip again for a second time, you're more like 108% view duration, because that person watched the video and then like they're 8 seconds in and realize, oh wait, this is the same clip again. So and then they
Well,
go to the next one.
There's a
But it's that
trick to
higher,
that.
It's that higher percentage, because that person is now not just watching it one time. They like the content so much they're watching it again. So it's kind of a backwards way to get
Yeah.
around the system. But
And there's a trick to that I've kind of discovered, and this is for anyone watching or listening. If you take your cut video and you take your first sentence and you put it at the end, right? Take it from the beginning and put it at the end. You get to your first sentence and it seamlessly goes into it because there's no cut, right? So the
Make it a
actual
loop.
again,
so
but
it,
the person
it allows
doesn't.
people to loop back into the
But
video.
the person
much easier.
doesn't realize you did the loop and thinks they're still because they're still watching the content.
Because you're waiting for the jump, like the cut.
Yep.
You're waiting for the cut to tell your brain that the video's over, but the cut actually happens like a few seconds earlier. But it's like seamless. If there's some editing tricks, like if you cut in, like make your cut and then zoom in, it is so much less registrable to brains that a cut has been made.
Yep.
But then like also making that first clip as your last clip, it just like
So yeah, the view
seamless
duration is the thing that will make or break a video. But if you also watch like a lot of Mr. Beast videos, his stuff is very catchy as far as keeping you bought into. It's not something you can like you don't relax.
He's mastered the art of retention.
Yeah, you don't relax and watch a Mr. Beast video. Like you can't because everything's just like in your face and it's like dopamine effect. You're always constantly like your focus, you're bought into the story versus like a documentary. You may just gonna relax and watch, David Attenborough talk about animals with that British accent of his. But
I just saw one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, and it was about a guy who collected Pez.
That
It's
came up.
awesome.
That came up on Netflix the other day. For me.
Oh,
I haven't
love
seen
it.
it yet, but yeah.
So I've noticed a trend that people are leaning leaning hard into, and that is recreation, like reenactment, but doing reenactment like in a big way. So like they get their material by interview, and they get their normal documentary B-roll, but then also they like the reenactment is like really, really well shot and like really, really invested in. And so like it looks and just looks incredible. And all this about a guy who collected Pez, and really interesting though.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thoughts on short form video? How it's evolved?
Yeah.
I mean, I
You should do it.
It's
It's frustrating, but also, you know what? And so this is where it goes against the grain for me. I've made image making like my whole career, and I put a lot of work into all the images that I create, every scene that I shoot, every time that I turn on the lights, every time that I set up cameras and compose. Everything's done very carefully, and short form is not that. It is not like that at all.
Yeah.
It is very much. Don't put a lot of work into this. Put a lot of thought into this, maybe, and just like.
Yeah, the creativity of the content shows through more than the quality of the content.
Yeah.
Right? And that's frustrating, right? Because if you pride yourself on creating great quality, right, it can just be less valuable in this instance, right?
Yeah.
When it's a 8-second.
Yeah,
Real.
it's wild. Like you can the more it feels like the more effort you put into something, the less it's going to perform.
Yeah.
Which is super frustrating.
Well, I would disagree though. I would say the less maybe from like a editing
Cinematography
perspective.
standpoint.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And
But you got to
editing
think
still
about
makes a
how is
difference.
this going to be creatively going to land on the person, and that
Yeah.
still takes energy and effort. Right?
Yeah, editing will always make a difference. Editing will always make all the difference. It seems.
Yeah.
Editing and concept.
Yep.
And then the cinematography part that we love so much seems to be less and less important.
What happens when movies like we can no longer watch a 2.5 or 3 hour movie?
I don't think it'll happen.
You don't
I
think
don't think
so?
it'll happen.
No.
You think that filmmakers will be able to still captivate us?
I think
for
movies
that
are getting
amount of time?
longer.
they still do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
look
think
at the Marvel series.
I think that talent and being engaging is the ultimate rule, right? If you can be engaging in short form, you win. If you can be engaging in long form, you win.
good one, Aaron.
If you can be,
I didn't realize it was that long.
Movies
Yeah.
are getting longer.
yeah, Avatar was 3
Right.
hours and 12
You know
minutes.
what I mean?
Like,
I think like 10 years ago, the average was like 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Now it's 2 hours,
Yeah.
and now we're at 3. I'm like,
Yeah, I
I
mean, you
need to
think
like
about,
block
like-
out a whole day. I need a babysitter
I know.
to go
I know.
watch this movie.
Well, and I get the length here in this case because what James Cameron is trying to do is he's trying to make going to the theater again an event, right? Like, oh, this is
fair.
This is where it's like you're spending your afternoon, you're doing an
At the
activity,
opera.
right? But when you think about streaming videos, right, or like Netflix straight
Yep.
to Netflix video,
Lord of the Rings extended
Um,
edition is 4 hours. Like Come on.
Oh, totally, right? Made in 2001, made 20 years ago, right?
Yep.
So, and it's great, and I love it, and I'll watch it over and over again, right? But I think what's interesting is when my nephew, who's in first grade, ages up, and he becomes a real, like, actual buying member of this media. I mean, the fact that he watches shorts nonstop, right? And then the longest form stuff he'll watch would be a SpongeBob episode, right? Or a Minecraft video of Preston playing for like 45 minutes.
Oh
long,
my God.
Right?
I love Minecraft.
So
That's the average movie length, though.
That was a great movie. You haven't seen this yet?
I did.
Oh,
I
man.
took my kids to see
They did
that.
a really good job with the devil.
But
oh really?
that's your
Yes.
average movie length is an hour and 40.
Yep.
Hour and 50.
I would say for kids movies, yeah, about 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you got about 10. I'm not sure if I mean, you probably know this. Like the actual time, is that including credits?
I don't know.
Because I would say like
Probably.
minus
Yeah,
15
they normally
minutes of
the
credits.
runtime includes credits.
You know,
yeah.
minus 15 minutes for end
Which
credits.
is why like
so
a lot of the Marvel movies have credits that are,
Yeah.
25 minutes long, right?
Yep.
Especially
it takes a big
Endgame.
team to
Yeah.
develop
Yeah.
that stuff nowadays.
It's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable how many people are involved in making a movie.
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
Movie making is not for me. Whew. It's too much.
I mean, you're halfway there.
I'm not halfway there. I'm not a quarter of the way there. I'm not a tenth of the way there.
I mean, you've done lighting and all the cool stuff. And
I know all the theory, but that's so little of the movie is that. Movies are mostly
project planning.
meetings.
Yeah.
Well, it's just, I mean, it's like, okay, so if you
A lot
want
of
to
cooks,
be,
a lot of cooks in the kitchen too for that.
yeah, exactly. So if you want to be a filmmaker and you love shooting and you love editing and you love the process of like just making the thing, then you should do documentaries. Because if documentaries are 90% shooting and editing, and like through those times you discover what it's about and you refine the idea.
You're doing
Where-
a lot of the work yourself too.
Yeah, if you're doing like
Like a
commercials,
studio movie, you'd have a script.
not even
Yeah.
yeah. So it starts with a script, and then it's pitching and pitching and pitching and pitching and getting funding and getting funding and getting funding. And so like you'll have this little baby that gets born that takes 10 years to get like made.
Yeah.
So
But
like
even-
there's so many people who they're just like writing script after script after script to see what sticks and like what gets out there, and like
But even
it's just
you,
not for me.
as a videographer, you don't do. You're not going to be doing every job on a movie set.
No.
You're going to have a cinematographer that's focused on essentially the image, and as far as
Yeah, and unless
whether-
you're like Roger Deakins, you're not even going to be touching the camera.
right, then you have the director, then you have the AD, you have script supervisor, you have costume. You have
Mhm.
so many different people that work and operate on a movie set. Yeah, you hear the names like Christopher Nolan, but Christopher Nolan's not the cinematographer.
Nope.
Right.
He's not the one who chooses the lens to use and the types of ND filters and all that stuff.
Well,
He might have some say into it. But-
hold on. So that's not always true. So every director is a bit different. There are
True.
some directors who are like James Cameron is a micromanager.
Right.
This is from what I've heard. So James Cameron is like a micromanager because he's like a super smart guy and can do everyone's job on set better than they can. So he is very hands-on with like selections. And then you have other directors who are like, I trust this guy, like Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson is very
Michael
hands-on,
Bay.
and his cinematographer, he only uses the same cinematographer because they get along, and that cinematographer is okay with him being like, we're going to do it this way, and this is how you're going to shoot it.
Yeah.
You're going to operate a
Yeah.
camera.
That's why you
It's a
see a
lot
lot
like-
of the same actors on movies, like with Guy Ritchie.
Yep.
You see a lot of the
Yeah.
same actors.
I was about
because
to
they were-
reference
Yeah.
Martin Scorsese, right? Martin Scorsese gets his actors that he likes, right, and then builds whole story arcs around them, right? And and that's worked for him.
Because
right?
working with a certain actor or actress can be
Oh, make or
terrible.
break. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Because if they throw like a hissy fit, and they just are terrible to work with.
Yeah.
So
It's not good
as
for
you've
production.
discovered, through your journey of like discovering short form video, how's that changing you, like personally, with videography, not just shooting on a big camera, like doing more with your phone and like with your clients, saying, hey, let's do something funny.
It's a
Like, how
big
does that-
change. It's
Has
a
that
big.
added value?
I don't know, because here's at the end of the day, I'm about results, right? And so like I don't want to do things that are pointless. I don't want to burn all of my time into cinematography that doesn't make a difference.
Sure.
And so I'm about short-term video as long as it's delivering the results. No, it's not as like artistically gratifying at all. But like the results are amazing. And so like I guess that's at the end of the day, I'm more results driven than I am artistically driven.
Yeah, and you got to give the people what they want, right? And that's what they want right now, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what
Gets the people
that's
going.
the way that's the way to get it across to people
Yeah.
and get your brand out there.
I don't ever
so
want
provocative.
I don't want to ever go back to making pointless videos. And you can and as artistic as something is, it can be pointlessly artistic.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
It's good to know.
I'm happy that something's working and we're putting hand to the plow to something that's working. I'm not really happy with how artistically satisfying it can be.
It's the next. What's going to happen next is the question, and I do think it's going to be more AR, augmented reality, mixed in with some metaverse mumbo jumbo.
The next big thing, yeah.
Because Apple's coming out with their Apple glasses, which is going to be announced, I believe, this year, which has the augmented reality.
I
Is,
feel like-
is
I feel
Google
like-
Glass totally dead?
That's
Oh,
dead.
yeah,
that's
it's
totally
that
dead.
died
Oh,
forever
like 10
ago.
years ago. Yeah,
But
it's been done.
Apple's glasses look like regular, just glasses.
Yeah.
But it has augmented reality built in. Yeah. It's like
Everything we've heard so far.
they have the
Tom's
patents
Guide's
on
not
it
too-
and
Tom's
everything.
Guide's not too bad if you use the first link. Usually pretty good.
I have doubts about
I
AI.
doubt they're going to look like that.
Probably.
Well, I can see AR be used more effectively than VR, because VR you have to put a whole
I'm gonna put
set
an ad
on.
blocker on
but-
this thing.
Um, with the glasses, again, not everyone wears glasses, but a lot of people do. And some people will probably get these who don't need prescription glasses just because it's Apple, and then
Mhm.
two, you can see your text message. Wow, how?
Oh my god.
Oh, that's just gonna make dates worse. If someone someone on the other end has it, they're like, yeah, and they're just reading text messages.
I have trouble imagining how
Top
someone's
10
going to be able to
icebreakers.
read that.
But here's the thing, like what the driving
Oh,
laws, like if
so-
someone's driving
I
and
got
like
that
you're
for you.
being distracted and like, is it gonna know you're driving? Like, I'm sure that's somehow.
They have that on phones already. It's like you can put your phone in drive
but
mode
you can
automatically.
easily-
You can turn it off,
Yeah.
obviously.
but like that, like
So to
text
answer your
messages.
question about the actual like retina size and everything else out, so a little 2 by 3 millimeter screen can have a resolution of like 1024 by 768 in front of your eye. Because this technology is not that new. They actually had this in the military.
Yeah, but your ability to focus that close.
Oh no, you can
Mhm.
see it.
You can see.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
you can see it. Yep, because
So-
they have those for like helicopter pilots. They actually have the kind of the same technology where it has a whole HUD in front of them. So this
Just
being
costs
in
a
front
few
of them-
$1 million.
only. Yeah, the whole helmet has a whole computer in it and everything. But for the retina itself, you'll be able to read text.
Like the F-22 pilots, just the helmet is
just
about,
just
is
the
about
visor.
$400,000
Yep.
to $500,000. It's crafted for that person's head, and it can't be reused on someone else. It's like
Nope.
$500,000 of your tax dollars goes to making a helmet.
And then you have the not the Chinook, the fast helicopter. What is that? The
yeah, that's
Apache?
more-
the Apache.
Yeah, the Apache helicopter. Yeah, these.
So the Apache helicopter, the whole helmet is connected to the bottom of the gun. So you move your head, the actual gun moves too as well, and it has the whole HUD in it, so you can actually see like the
I was at
crosshairs.
an event
Yeah.
on base, and when I had my TSSCI, I was able to step into you had to have a secret clearance or above to go
Oh,
and look
definitely.
inside.
You know the test pilots at the
Dope as hell.
not the F-22, the new one,
F-35?
F-35. The test pilots that were trying to do stress tests on it couldn't use certain features of the F-35 because of the classification of certain things. Like, what's this button do? You can't press that.
Yeah, the F-22. Well, the F-35 is also being sold
Yes.
but the F-22 is not,
yes.
because it's more advanced.
Correct.
But anyways,
What-
so
one-
to
one-
answer your question, Aaron, yes, the technology is there.
Yeah, one
You can see
thing
the
we
screen.
haven't really talked about, which I think is actually pretty impressive, is how these platforms are getting better at allowing you to add graphic overlays and edit within the platform, right?
Yes,
It's
that's
incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, like captioning things has never been easier
Oh
than
my
it is
gosh.
right now. It's super intelligent.
let's talk about Instagram's captioning software.
It's
because
incredible.
my God, can they just sell that to someone
Yeah.
and give it to me? Because like I will pay $1,000 for captions that are that good.
I mean, literally, I've had whole videos that are 90 seconds long with talking the entire way through. You think about that Kristen video, right?
Mhm.
And it had one word wrong in all of it, auto-generated. I mean, with a click of a button.
At the end of the
That's
day,
impressive.
you need to thank DARPA for all this advancement technology. Like, we wouldn't have the internet if it wasn't for them. All this other stuff all starts from military-industrial complex that we all love to hate, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't really have your TikTok videos without it.
It's actually between Harvard and MIT for the internet.
True, yeah. But
Yeah.
DARPA, who funded it?
I'll just say
Government.
it is
Definitely.
amazing, and they're only going to improve with the ability to add elements to videos and to add graphic overlays that are just in ways we can't even really imagine right now. With the click of a button, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
people are
filters have been around for a while, right? Obviously, but it's just getting better and better.
People are getting really good at transitions,
Snapchat was
too.
I feel like Snapchat was the first one. We didn't even talk about Snapchat.
Yeah.
Not
Oh,
supposed to because
there's-
It's a
they've
dying
they've
platform.
become
Because it just
less
hasn't
relevant.
monetized. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
But like I feel like they were the one who really kicked a lot of the more advanced filters into gear. Just their facial recognition.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think another thing that's really impressive for like a TikTok, especially, you see extreme transition videos. Have you ever watch those where like they'll actually, there's a guy, I can't remember his name. He matches transitions with music, and he changes his like, he has like a face mask, hats, and t-shirts, and every like beat will change his outfit. It's mind blowing how like seamless it looks. I'll have to find it. I'll have to show it to you. You'll geek out.
And you think he's doing that editing within the platform, or do you
Probably
think
like an app called, I think there's an app called like Splice, but it's on your
Okay.
phone.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's pretty intense. Like, how did you even like it's so seamless and it's quick.
It's amazing, right? That something that's on an app on your phone could be more powerful at captioning than Adobe Premiere that's been doing it for 30 years. Right?
Yeah, it's really frustrating to mess with like incredible technology on my phone and then get onto my like super expensive desktop that's like built around video editing, and then I open my really expensive software and it's just like, nah, I can't do that. You're gonna have to type all that in manually.
It's ridiculous.
I hate everyone.
I hate everyone.
You say that almost
Everyone's
every
horrible.
podcast you say that. I hate everyone. So,
Aaron Money, the nihilist.
all right. Well, I think that concludes today's episode of the Think Fresh Move Forward podcast. Appreciate anyone who made it this far and dealt with our, whatever we like to call it, mumbo jumbo.
Our tangents.
Tangents.
Yeah.
Heavy tangents. I don't know how we ended up on the F-22 aircraft. Be sure to tune in. Next week we are talking about, do you guys know at the top of your head? Because I don't.
I don't remember.
We're talking about things and stuff.
No, we're talking about product packaging.
Product packaging,
Packaging.
yeah.
And
of which I am clearly the expert.
Delivering
anyway.
the experience, right? Of
It's
that's also
Aaron.
dopamine,
Hey,
right?
Aaron.
Opening a package.
Aaron.
Yeah.
To close out, go to TikTok and look up mks.vision. This will close it out. This will be our
no, it's just like,
this will be our
make your day. Ah.
MKS.
When the night
Oh,
Yeah, the first one right there. First one. This
Wow.
guy's transitions are insane. Click any of them. Doesn't matter.
Dá-me xerecada por cima da pica, vai sua puta, lavadinha. Dá-me xerecada por cima da pica, vai sua puta, caralho. Essa piranha do Parque União, essa cirurgia, essa novinha aqui da
Mind blowing how quick
xerecada por
those
cima
transitions
da
are.
pica.
That's
Wow.
not even his most impressive one. You get a crazy one, but that's all I
Yeah.
had. That's
Yeah, that's all match cuts.
yeah. I don't know how to do
Aaron's
that,
like,
but
psh.
to do it on a phone,
Aaron's like, psh,
It's pretty
that's
easy.
it's pretty. Whatever.
Oh no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
That's not technically difficult. Like it's a lot of dedication and discipline.
Stupid.
And
Stupid.
and practice. But he's not doing anything special technologically.
No, fair enough.
That's all practical.
I thought it was just insane what he does. That's just me.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool.
It's cool.
All right. Thanks again for tuning in.
Stupid.